What a ridiculous proposition it sounds when I tell you, or I have been telling you up till now, that unified meditation is to help you evolve as a human being. I didn't try to put a spin of sarcasm in this thesis of mine early on because I wanted to keep it to the point. But in this section, I want to make a joke on myself. I am claiming that we are evolving. I must be a lunatic. And what is the grounds for my hypothesis that we are evolving as a human species? So I'm going to try to prove to you that my hypothesis has got some merit based on three other books which are not purely based on evolution as such, but which prove the point that we are evolving as a human being. So, like Newton said, that he is standing on the shoulders of giants when he wrote his book on the principle of mathematics, in which he deals and talks about time, force, and motion. Similarly, my hypothesis on evolution is also based on the work of other people, although they are inspired by myself also. However, I cannot defend myself by saying that, oh, I feel that I'm evolving, so that must be the truth. Speaking in this way wouldn't be a problem if I was trying to just convince people who would come to me as followers. But if I want to convince the world as a large, I needed some giants on whose shoulder I could stand and give some credence to my inner findings about evolution. So you can say that the following three books that I'm going to talk about to prove my point about evolution both have inspired me to develop this concept of the evolution of us as Homo sapiens, and also have become a confirmation that what I have been feeling is true. I haven't done any formal research, neither scientific nor have I interviewed so many people or enough people even to prove my theory of evolution. I have not even read enough books to write a full article on what the world has been talking about, doing about in terms of consciousness or evolution. So for me, these three books have done the work that I could not do. This is why I will use them and stand on their shoulders to prove to you, at least logically or conceptually, that we are still evolving as human beings. So let us begin. The above book that you can see in the diagram is called Homo Deus. The writer, Yuval Harari, gave this name inspired by the Latin word for God, which is Deus. As you can see in the above diagram, according to Harari, we have been evolving from monkeys to becoming bipeds and now finally Homo sapiens, and then we are still evolving. And then through many arguments and scientific investigation, He proposes that we humans will mainly evolve in three aspects. Again, the writer here talks mainly in terms of technological advances of humanity. You can see the first diagram in which there is a cyborg, which I have taken from the X-Men series. According to the writer, we will evolve the technology by which we will have augmentations, and they will be integral part of us that will make us superhumans. Homo Deus. You don't have to imagine very hard. Just go and watch a series of X-Men, and then you realize that's what Homo Deus is most gonna be like. In the next point, Haran talks about our advances in genetics and biochemical engineering. We will be able to basically beat death, create new heart, new kidney, new liver, which earlier on couldn't be replaced. The technology will be so advanced that we could basically live on forever. It's nothing short of those sci-fi movies. However, this book went further than just saying fantastic things. It gave lots of proofs that this is currently happening, and how it can make those leap jumps from where we are now to where we can be, and thus making us into the new species Homo Deus. Finally, the promise of Homo Deus is immortality. There you can see the heart of Iron Man. So that's also an evolution, and all those technological advances are not very far away from reality. In this way, Homo Deus proves to us that evolution is still occurring, and we are becoming sooner or later a new species, very much akin to the X-Men. Again, I repeat, all those things was is bound to change us in a genetic level. So this is my first book with which I try to prove my hypothesis that evolution is occurring. Now let's move to the next book. I had mentioned this book by Yogananda earlier on, if you remember in my story about my meditation. Well, this book also talks about evolution a lot. However, it talks in spiritual terms about evolution. And the proof that Yogananda gives are the various Babas and yoginis, of which the picture you can see in the diagram. I will not go through each of the individuals in the picture, but I will just talk shortly about a few of them. On the right hand side, you have the main hero of Yogananda's stories. He is the Mahavatar Babaji. Basically, he has evolved from a normal human being to one that doesn't need to eat or drink, who can teleport himself from point A to point B. He can dematerialize himself. He can have two bodies at the same time. And then he is by now over 400 years old, as far as I remember, but he still looks like he's 17. By the way, that is because he was enlightened when he was 17. So that's what the stories in enlightenment say, that you retain the age when you reach that enlightenment stage. And so he has all those miraculous powers. Now, are these powers just a fluke, or are they about genetic mutation of some kind? Is the change at the genetic level? That's a big question mark. It definitely has to be. His brain is telepathic. He is a genius, meaning that he can learn any language and grasp any difficult topic and talk about it. He is both alive and dead, and the list goes on. If that is not an example of evolution, then what is? And then you can look at the pictures on your left hand side. You'll see some women and some men. Each of them have got various powers. Some of them haven't eaten for decades. Some of them can generate smell out of nothing. Some fire from their hands. Some of them are bilocal, meaning that they can appear in two places. Some of them have got so much bliss that they faint all the time. Some of them are full of knowledge. So basically, we can say that they are fragments or pieces of the full avatar of full potential that Babaji was or is, we should say. Now, isn't it possible that they evolved, that they change at the genetic level too? So, isn't it a proof that we are evolving? And is it not our potential that we too, through some kind of meditation, reach those levels in terms of evolution? My answer is yes to all those questions. And I take it as a proof that yes, we are still evolving as a. Now, let's move to the third book. This is a quite controversial book, and many of you might not subscribe to the theories propounded by the writer here. This is mainly because he touches lots of very sensitive points in everybody's life. For example, my own father died from tumor when he was 40, and what theory proposes makes me uncomfortable to think that this was the cause of my father's cancer or tumor. However, we should not be sentimental over science, and I believe that even though we have had personal brushes with cancer, this book is very relevant and talks from the heart. So, the writer here explains that the real cause of cancer is 85% trauma and severely negative events. You can refer to that on the diagram itself. And that leads to emotional stress and mental stress. Those two are forgotten but unforgiven. This leads to a mutation in the genes, and that leads to cancer. Now, we all knew that cancer was a result of mutation of genes, but we did not know how that mutation occurred. Obviously, we had other causes for that, like alcohol, cigarettes, poor lifestyle, even genetics itself. But Leonardo, the writer, comes up with this theory, and then he is able to prove it through practical cases, and that is a formidable case. He argues that the current path used to kill cancer using chemotherapy has got moderate success rate, whereas his cure, which treats the root cause, that is, which treats the trauma and the negative event and the emotional stress, mental stress, by helping the patient forgive the past alongside of some small techniques that he called instinct-based meditation, helps the cancer disappear, and his case is success rate 97%, and this is not bad at all. The reason I'm bringing this book in this section is that my understanding is, isn't mutation of genes some kind of evolution or at least devolution? And then if some kind of emotional stress, mental stress can cause mutation in the genes, what else could cause the transformation in genes? A nuclear reaction? Definitely, that is known to cause cancer. That is again because of the mutation. So my point by bringing this book in this subsection is to argue as follows. Could not some kind of meditation that is well designed produce change in the genes at the physical level? My answer is it can. Now, coming to the end of this section, I want to reiterate that my hypothesis on evolution, that we are still evolving as human beings, has got merit based on the above three books. Of course, you might feel that I'm pushing a bit too much and forcing you to believe things that you might not totally agree with. However, in my theory of evolution, genes, mutation, or evolution, or change, transformation is one of the 13 components. I am talking in a broader perspective. I believe that the transformation occurs at a level of consciousness, of which genes is just one component. And then, as the writers talked about in Homo Deus, knowledge, intelligence is another component. Then Yogananda talks about spiritual powers, shifts in the spiritual processes or systems within the body that leads to these new states of existence that he illustrated through various yogas that he studied in his life. Again, in my theory of evolution, this is one among the 13 components that's evolving. I am writing this section to act as a prelude to the upcoming section. I just hope to make the transfer to my worldview smoother and less bumpy. I want to give you some kind of rope to hang on, because I might sound a total lunatic, as I just said earlier in this section. I am no lunatic. I have studied a lot, researched a lot, and I'm not talking nonsense. I'm just consolidating lots of work from people which uh, are unrelated to one another. Even the three books that I mentioned, you can easily realize that readers of one book would not even know the name of the other books. If you read Homo Deus, it's very unlikely that you would read Yogananda. And if you read um, The Only Answer to Cancer, it's very unlikely you're going to read Homo Deus. Me being a voracious reader, I just read everything that gets uh, in front of me. So this diversity in my learning has helped me a lot in my writing, as you can see, and even in my counseling sessions and uh, life as a whole. However, it might come to a surprise to many because they see it as two unrelated things merge forcefully with one another. That said, what needed to be done was done, and I hope that I just added some credence for me to talk about the core of this chapter that is following. So let's start to the heart of this chapter. Are we still evolving? Yes, we are.